It is said that hate is taught. Prejudice is taught. What about love? Is love taught? Where did you learn to love? Jessica, a student of mine, said, TV. When I inquired further, she explained her dad left when she was 4, and her mother worked all the time to support the family. The only place she learned about love was on TV. This question, where did you learn to love, is uncommon yet essential. When I ask it, most people say it's the first time they've ever been asked. But why is that? Why don't we view love as something that needs to be intentionally taught, just like any other life skill? We often take love for granted and assume that it is learned naturally at home. But what happens when you grow up in a home where you are abused and you're told that you're loved? What happens when love and harm become indistinguishable? How do we unlearn harmful patterns and replace them with what love truly is? My name is Irene Greaves, and my own journey with learning to love starts with my first teacher of love, my oldest sister, Tuti, who is differently abled. Tuti taught me to be patient, compassionate, empathetic, forgiving. She taught me that there's no such thing as being normal, that every human being is unique and different, and we all benefit when we embrace one another. Those seeds of love grew as I left my home country, Venezuela, and went to university in Europe, volunteered in Africa, taught in Asia, got my master's in the US, and worked in Central America. It was while getting my master's in education at the University of Pennsylvania when I had my epiphany, and I realized that love is the essential condition of our humanity, and that love transcends all differences. Living with different human beings around the world taught me that what allowed us to love one another was the presence of 15 core values that became the foundation of Lovescaping, my philosophy of life, my humble attempt to redefine and operationalize love so that we can teach it. Love in action is the result of humility, empathy, respect, care, communication, compassion, patience, honesty, vulnerability, trust, solidarity, liberation, gratitude, forgiveness, and hope. This is a framework for love, teachable values that transform lives. What if love were a subject in schools? We measure educational success by test scores, but what if we also measured acts of kindness, solidarity, and trust? What if we assessed how mentally healthy, self-confident, and empathetic our children are? Too often, our response to bullying, exclusion, and conflict is reactive. But what if we taught preventative and proactive actions that lead to strengthening respect and belonging? What if schools became places where we learned to love? Imagine a society where every school is a safe, nurturing space where children grow up learning to love themselves and others, build healthy relationships, and contribute positively to their communities. What does humility and empathy look like in action? How do we effectively communicate our feelings and our needs? How do we build trust, navigate forgiveness, or demonstrate solidarity? These are foundational aspects of our humanity, essential skills that deserve to be taught as intentionally as math or science. If love is the answer to humanity's challenges, we must ask, where and how do we teach it? Looking at evidence from a comparable paradigm, such as social and emotional learning, provides valuable insights. Over 2 decades of rigorous global research show that social and emotional learning builds empathy and kindness, improves academic performance, reduces anxiety and bullying, and equips students with skills for healthy relationships and career success. It also enhances school climates, creating safe, inclusive environments where students thrive and contribute to their communities. If SEL has demonstrated such positive results, think of what teaching love could accomplish. With 40% of high school students reporting persistent sadness and hopelessness in 2023, and suicide being the second leading cause of death among youth, the urgency is clear. Everything we have learned about trauma teaches us that feeling safe is essential for learning. Intentional spaces of connection, belonging, and trust buffer the impacts of trauma and allow students to thrive academically and socially. Imagine a learning community where everyone, principals, teachers, cafeteria staff, students, parents, gathers in circles to share feelings and build trust. Imagine them standing in each other's shoes, sharing their stories, writing and walking in each other's shoes. Picture a dedicated class teaching self-compassion and care for others. Envision a future where every child learns to love as they learn to read, where schools support parents in raising children with love, and where teachers become safe, loving figures for their students. Could there be a greater investment in our collective future than making love the foundation of education? In a world where AI handles calculations and analysis, we must ask ourselves, what should be the true purpose of education? Is it to cultivate more raw intellectual power? Or is it to nurture something far deeper and more essential? We need to teach love in order to build peaceful communities and thriving societies. As technology advances us, but often weakens human connection, prioritizing humanity becomes more essential than ever. Raising compassionate, empathetic humans is key to shaping a better future. We sometimes shy away from the word love. I think we fear it. But I would argue that what we need is to be unapologetic about leaning into this idea that love can be taught as intentionally as math, reading, and science. Love is not fluff or a romantic fairy tale-like feeling. In fact, it's the opposite. Love is hard work. Fear is much easier. Think about it. It is much easier for a principal or a teacher to yell and threaten to get their students to do whatever they want, to use fear to control. It is much harder work to be patient, to self-regulate, to take the time to be empathetic. It's a choice we get to make. And this choice changes everything. I want my students to listen to me because they love and respect me, not because they fear me. Fear might work in the short run, but nobody blossoms under fear. We are only in compliance. But under love, everyone flourishes. In the words of Maya Angelou, do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. This is the invitation I'd like to make to you today, to deeply think about your own definition and practice of love, and to reflect on how we can do better, heal, unlearn harmful patterns, and embody love through intentional actions. So, can love be taught? At the end of the school year, Jessica, my student, said, "For the first time, I feel seen. I feel loved. I learned that I matter in life. Yes, indeed, it can. Love is the missing piece in education." Thank you.